he is one of the few CEOs who I've seen is technically so qualified.
Okay.
That when he sits in a meeting with architects, or MEP designers or engineers or whatever, he knows more than the engineers, which is very surprising, right? Once you own a house, usually typically people go out and then get this home inspectors. Okay, these companies we should. We actually do the other way around. Before we give the apartment to the customer itself, we get this check done, internal check done with them, so that we know what are the snacks and we fix all the snacks and then give it. Basically, I'm gunning for platinum certified spec.
Wow. It is one of the most powerful interviews that I have done. Namaskara Bengaluru. Today we are at Vajram site office. It's a beautiful new project which is launched in Elanka, Kogilu. It's the most happening place in North Bangalore, and let's talk more about this project, about developer, about location, the specification, configuration. We have the most tenure person in real estate, Mr. Vamsi, who has been with Vajram since last 13 years, since inception. And this is a builder who have proved that you don't have to be a brand to deliver a quality product, right? So let's understand more from Mr. Vamsi. Hi Vamsi sir.
Hi.
It was nice to have this video shoot. I want to make it as natural as possible because I want to show Bangalore what Vajram is actually, because we have proved our capability in Tanisandra, in Elanka already. This is the most advanced project is what I have understood from design, from location, from the dimensions that we have come up in the market after a lot of studies, right? And I want to know more about you. I want you to talk about your experience in real estate so our viewers know that they are hearing it from the horse's mouth. Yeah, please.
Thank you so much for basically inviting me for the shoot today. Just a few words. It's been a long journey for me in Vajram. I've been here for 13 plus years. I don't have any experience in real estate, so to say. So it's funny, none of our co-members also have any experience in real estate. We just started the journey, and then we all come from tech backgrounds. The founder, Mr. Pawan Vajram, he comes from a chip design background. He is a serial entrepreneur along with his brother, who launched different companies and sold, and they've been in the US for 20 years. For me, I've been in Southeast Asia, based out of Singapore for almost 13 years. I was also in the technology sector, so no connection again with real estate. So we just came with no plan, no vision, and then we started the real estate journey as such. And I would say we've seen a lot. We started from a pure plotted development company the first initial years. Then we wanted to create value because all of us thought how does the long-term value come for the company? So unless and until we get into delivering a quality product, people will not recognize, and then that's how you build a brand, right? So we basically went out into the construction route, and then we delivered a successful project, first villa project. Then we came into apartments, where it was a different challenge for us, because the major important thing what we discovered is to deliver a quality product, everything should be in-house, and we need to tightly control. So we took care of the engineering part. Everything was in-house, and we built the teams, and all of us were pretty much involved in the quality checks, and that's how we were able to deliver a successful product. The first apartment product, what we did was Vajram Essenza in Tanisandra Road, right? From there, we built it up, and then people came to know about us through the quality products what we deliver. And of course, customer service is something which most of the core management, because we had a small team then, everyone was involved in the project, and then we were basically if a customer comes up with anything whatsoever during delivery or during the process of booking or whatever, the whole journey we were there with the customers. That's how I stay in Vajram Tiara.
Okay.
So that is one of our projects. The moment we had the blueprints ready, me and another co-member of mine called Ramna, we said, this is a fantastic design which we have come out with. I don't know whether we'll be coming out with a design like this. So the initial days when we were still going for our plan approvals and everything, we blocked our units and we said we're going to stay here. All right. So we have around close to 300 customers in Vajram Tiara. I know everyone out there because I'm like, I've done the sales to all these people. And then they didn't believe in the beginning that we are going to stay there. They thought it was a marketing thing. And when the project was delivered, and then, I did my Grow Pravesh, I invited like 50, 60 customers who were staying there. They were all shocked that actually what you told was a reality. And then I said, I believe in my product. And that is why I'm here. And I've been staying in my project for another 5 years now. And it's a very friendly community. And I don't have any issues out there. Staying because there's a notion that when you build, you don't stay in the same apartment. But I think we are opposite to the notion where we stay and then we believe in what we deliver. Yeah.
True.
So it's been an eventful journey for me in the company. So I'm the vice president, and then I had sales and marketing in the company. So it's been a very eventful journey. We started from a team size of around 4 to 5 people. Now we are around 50 plus people in my team, and then the organization has also grown. And then we're launching multiple projects. So yeah, we have quietly, I would say, established a brand identity in North Bangalore. And today, when people look up Vajram, they kind of expect, what they get. Yeah. So that's my journey, more or less,
So
in the company.
during this 13 years of first time getting into real estate to becoming a tenured personality, right? So what are those key, concerns or challenges that you have faced in your segment?
See, as I told you earlier, the key thing is we always believed in delivering a quality product, right? Sales was something we believed that once you have a deliver quality, people will come and buy for sure. So that has been our mantra always. So what we focused was basically on that quality, and any issues with the customer, we were there first to proactively attend to that, and that is how we built the brand. So I would say sales, we learned how to do it. We didn't know basically about digital marketing. I put a lot of energy of my time to understand how it is done and stuff like that. And in fact, the first few years I was running my own digital campaigns and everything with the Facebook, Google, the portals, whatever are there, and then managing all the leads with such a small team. And then me and the MD used to sit and close most of the deals with the customers. So it was pretty natural for us. Because my MD is a sales guy, and then I've been a sales guy all my life. So yeah, it was pretty easy for us. But then I always believe that sales is not a science. It's about understanding, because you're selling a product to another human being. So it's about just interaction, addressing the pain points and matching the product. And we believe that we've done enough research to match the products. So, and that's how sales happen.
Great. And I've been hearing lot about Mr. Pawan Vajram.
Yeah.
He's the person who comes, visits, check the quality. Most of the time he is at construction site, is what I hear from all the team. I would want you to put a light on this particular personality and his mindset.
Yeah. See, Pawan is someone who always believes customer is first.
Customer first, okay.
Always. Okay, right? So, of course, me coming from sales, I always keep my customers first. But, Pawan also, he subscribes to the same ideology. So, whatever we do, ultimately, we want to satisfy the customer. Because, once we build a product, the customer enjoys the product, that's when, he'll recommend us. So, we always believed in word of mouth. Apart from that, Pawan is very passionate, about creating things. That's how he got into real estate, right? He is one of the few CEOs who I have seen is technically so qualified.
Okay.
That, when he sits in a meeting with architects, or MEP designers or engineers or whatever, he knows more than the engineers, which is very surprising, right? And one of the most important thing in real estate is legal. He understands legal better than the lawyers, right? So he is a kind of an all-rounder. He involves himself. He's got so much of energy, which also drives us all, the whole team. That, of course, he's a senior person, but then he has got so much of energy, like a teen, I would say. And then he gets involved in a lot of departments and gives us inputs and gives us directions on how to go. And he is someone, who's very open to criticism in terms of, we do a 360-degree kind of a management style. So he accepts what it is, and then he basically, gives the corrective decision. So I would say he's a on-hands person, and then on the ground, whatever you said, I'm like in terms of checking the site and everything, he goes to multiple sites, he visits, and then he sits with the engineers to ensure the product comes out right.
Don't you think this is very unique?
It is very
When we talk about real estate, generally people think it's a money-making
right.
segment. There are very few developers who believes in making a community, giving best of the experience,
Right.
pre-sales and post-sales.
Right.
There are a lot of developer who do immense marketing
Right.
in the market,
Right.
right? But when customer comes to site, when they buy the pre-sales experience, post experience, the quality, there are things, right? We cannot deliver 100% pakka project. There will be some other things which builder patience will be seen there, right? So what is Mr. Vajram's vision when it comes to giving best experience? I have seen your Tanisandra project, Tiara, and this one,
Right.
and I have seen that shift. We are always updating ourselves. It is not the same product what we launched in Tanisandra. We cannot compare. There is huge, difference. This has come from the experience, from the learning, previous projects. How does he envision a project?
See, I'll just give you an example for this project, right? See, this is around 6.5 acre project, right? Typically, if you look at this project, there's around 2 acre bed, which is only for green and open spaces. If you want to commercialize it, right, we could have built another 100 apartments in this project. Right? Usually what happens is, you build amenities around the project, wherein I'm like the first predominant thing is how many apartments can you build, right? You maximize that and then build the amenities along that. Pawan is a little bit different in terms of his vision, wherein he identified which is the best place where you will get a 2 acre land, where basically I'm like you can only dedicate it for amenities and nothing else, right? This was the first thing what he planned, and then later came the building. So that is the uniqueness about this project. That is why if you look at it, one of the USP of this project is it's got a huge biophilic pond, what we have created. It's around 8 lakh liters, because what we figured out is in Bangalore, people go for a jog to the nearest lake. Unfortunately, I'm like when it rains or when probably I'm like it's too cold or whatever, I'm like people don't go out. We wanted to create that experience in this project, wherein you don't need to actually go out, you can come down and then enjoy the same thing, all right? Instead of going out probably out of Bangalore, drive 100 kilometers and get that experience, we wanted to create that. And the apartments and the designs were after planning this amenity, and then we went to the apartment and product mix. So that is why Pawan is a little bit different, and he is a visionary in terms of creating spaces. And that is how basically until now, whatever projects which we have designed, right, they've been very, very successful.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wish I should have one good podcast with Mr. Pawan Vajram.
Sure.
Get that effectiveness and his vision.
Right.
So when we talk about the project, right, I have seen it's 3 and 4 BHK.
Right.
So what studies or what analysis you guys have done? Because I also know larger dimensions have more demand in market.
Right.
And as per your planning and design, I am feeling like this project is more for end users than investors, right? Because you want that the thriving community to enjoy this beautiful spaces that you are creating.
Right.
So what is the thought behind that?
See, if you look into the market, right, the market has evolved. If you look at probably 4 years or 5 years back, right, the majority inventory in the market was 2 bedrooms. Right. Post-COVID, what happened is this concept of work from home came about, which wasn't existing. Earlier, what do you work from home? Even for an IT person, he has to report in the office. So this is what started happening, wherein people said, okay, I need a space in my house. Okay, typically what people used to do was take their laptop, sit on the dining table and work, or probably in the living room and then work, right? So this is something which has changed post-COVID, wherein people started working from home, and that is where they realized that they needed an extra space, right? So people started upgrading from 2 to 2.5 bedrooms, all right? And then 3 bedrooms became the norm. So if you notice in the last 3 years, the number of launches which happened in the market are all 3 bedrooms, 3.5 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms.
Ji.
The demand for 2 bedroom has gone down. All right. And the inventory which is launched also, if you observe all the projects, it's 3, 3.5 and 4. Right. So the market has evolved. People want that. And then, of course, at the end of the day, you need to cater to what people need.
Exactly.
That is the reason I'm like, you're seeing this 3 and 4 bedroom which is happening in the market. And we also want to be in the market, so not to be left out. So that's how we have designed a product like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when we talk about investment, right? People who have invested in Tiara
Yeah.
in that time,
Yeah.
what is the appreciation these people have got?
See, I'll just tell you, I'm like, Tiara, when we sold, we sold it, when we launched, we sold it from around 5,000 rupees to around 6,000, 6,500 to around 7,000 rupees, right? That was around 4-year period. But what you need to understand is when Tiara sales were happening, there was COVID also, which happened. And then also, the market was almost dull for a year. And then after that, it started picking up. Now, typically today in Tiara, people sell it for around 10,000 to 12,000 rupees. So that's a huge appreciation. That time, whoever has invested in Tiara has made money with us. In fact, right from my first project, or my villa project, whoever has invested with me have made money. So that's a huge appreciation. And also what we need to understand is basically, see, there are few markets, especially in South India, right? People tend to stay in a rental place, right? You need to compare what is the rental yields, what you get, and then when do you have a break even in terms of, what is the home loan you're taking and what is the price, right? So in South India, like markets like Hyderabad, markets like Bangalore, markets like Chennai, right? These markets, you will typically cover your EMIs, what you're paying, compare it to a rental, you'll probably achieve it within 5 to 6 years.
Nice.
Because whatever you pay for a rental, let's say in Bangalore, you'll pay for a 2-bedroom anywhere around 30 to 40,000. For a 3-bedroom anywhere between 60 to 1 lakh rupees, right? If you look at it, your EMI also will come to almost similar thing. And then you have a complete ROI by around 6 years, right? Compared to this, you look at North Indian markets. Like, for example, you have Noida, we have NCR region, you have Mumbai,
Pune and all that, yeah.
These markets, it takes you more than 15 to 20 years to recover, because the starting price of the apartment is 5 crores, 5.5 crores when compared to rented. That is why even if you look at from an investment perspective, right, South India is still good, because you get your returns by 5 to 6 years. Completely break even.
And in that, especially Bangalore is having that charm, because we are not talking stories anymore.
Yeah.
Things are happening on ground. If you are talking about Foxconn, we are talking about Boeing, KLEB, Metro, it is all happening on ground. It is not, okay, they'll start.
Right.
Right. We are in mid of this massive development around us. And this area, Chief, you have seen, I have seen, I'm born and brought up North Bangalore.
Okay.
So I have seen how it has grown.
Right.
What demand people are, having. When I talk about this particular project, who do you think this project is for?
See, I won't define a category as such, but I would say, see, people who are looking in the market, who are looking for a 3-bedroom, right? First, you need to change your ideology in terms of what you're trying to look for the project, because there are huge number of inventory where 3 bedrooms are available, right? Apart from living in your house, what else you want to do, that is where basically this project matches.
Exactly.
Because look, people are focused more on an active lifestyle these days, right? So what is the kind of active lifestyle you want to take? And then when you get out of the house, you and your family as well, right? You look at probably your kids who are growing and stuff, right? What is the kind of community you want to have? That is where we excel in this project, where this is for every age group. Let's say, for example, you're having your parents staying with you. You have a lot of spaces where it's catered for that. Your kids, right? Like, for example, this project, we have separate clubhouse, which has got a dedicated training area, like a training room, co-working spaces, right? So you can have your tuitions or whatsoever, getting it conducted here, right? Then you have a lot of sports facilities inside this particular clubhouse as well. We've given 2 clubhouses, right? So it is catered to every particular thing.
You have understood that today's kids are more towards technology and mobile and all those stuff. So we are giving reasons in the project, so they are detached from this and more into physical.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Wherein basically I'm like, you want to bring back that active lifestyle for a kid as well.
I think it's not only for kids nowadays, Chief. It is for all the age group.
Absolutely.
Majority of them we are seeing today that
Right.
everyone are in
Right.
those reels and unnecessary data.
Right. Right.
We are cut off from the nature, from social life,
Right.
from all these things. I think such projects will give reasons to live happier.
See, this is one of the reasons wherein I'm like, we've tied up with IGBC, okay, to get that platinum certified specification.
And so we are platinum certified.
Yeah, basically I'm like gunning for platinum certified spec.
Wow.
So that is what we're working for. So one of the main key area is basically I'm like to create the air quality index within the project.
Ji.
So we work with the consultants for this IGBC, and we are ensuring that there are around close 1,000+ trees which are being planted in and around the project, which give you a lot of fresh oxygen. Because today AQI is an important factor. Like for example, I keep going to Delhi for a few of my meetings because I'm like I deal with people who make scale models and everything, and then Delhi there are few good vendors, right? When I go to Delhi, I see how pathetic the air quality index is, and I can't believe the numbers which are there. So I'm like, Bangalore, although I'm like you have a lot of traffic and stuff like that, I'm like it is slowly coming to that. So it's very important that you create spaces which have got a lot of lung space, wherein you have that fresh green kind of a air for people at least to go and enjoy it. Today I'm like you will not find the spaces.
It is luxury today, sir.
It has become luxury and it has become premium.
Ji.
Wherein I'm like, this particular project, if you look at it, this is something you're getting along with that. Okay, so that is how we designed this project. Yeah.
Nice. And sir, if a family is planning to start their life in Vajram Vivera, so there is a need of day-to-day life, right? And we are in the mid of all the huge development.
Yeah.
So what do you have to tell there?
See, there are few criteria which you look in, right, before you buy an apartment. See, one is, okay, the dimensions. Dimensions is something I'm like today more or less I'm like the market is established with the dimensions, right? So once you identify the dimensions, right, you figure out basically I'm like how is the whole design there. When I talk about design, it's about ventilation, whatever you have. Next is basically I'm like how many common walls do you have, right? Next is in the corridor, what is the privacy you have, right? So these are the factors you look into the design. Once you're done with that, then you come down to, okay, fine, what can I do apart from the apartment, right? I'm like, when I go down or whatever, I'm like, what is the kind of community I can expect? Because people are social animals. At the end of the day, you need avenues basically, I'm like, to meet people. So this project excels in all those 3 or 4 criterias. And it comes with the pricing, I'm like, whatever, I'm like, the other projects are coming, the competition, whatever it is. So that's why I'm like, we are able to, almost sell 30% or 40% of our inventory in the launch itself, in the pre-launch.
Yeah, and I heard those are the bigger dimensions which have gone early.
See, in this project, basically, there's nothing called small because everything, it starts from around 1,500 square feet, 1,600 square feet, and basically 1,800 square feet to 2,000 square feet. So there are 3 or 4 ranges, right? So at the end of the day, we've sold across all the units in a good this thing. It's not about big or small because the difference is around 200 to 300 square feet within each unit. So depending on what your requirements are, you pick up. We've sold, I would say, we've sold a healthy mix of all the inventory, whatever it is. It's not that we have one particular inventory which is sold out a lot or whatever. Yeah.
And when we talk about location, sir, which is the most important aspect.
Right.
When we talk about real estate, it's location, location, and location.
Yeah.
So we are blessed with a good location.
Yeah.
Right. So what do you have to talk about Kogilu as a location?
See, Kogilu as a location, at the end of the day, if you look at it, you're connected to everywhere, right? The upcoming metro is pretty close by, which is going to come up. You're connected to the main airport road. You have a good mix of, schools which are there, which is important for your infrastructure. And also, you have 2-3 malls which are closely located. So, you're done with that, more or less. This is a location which is basically, there are a lot of projects on this location. So, this is right. And there is, for example, in North Bangalore, if you look at it, new commercial buildings which have opened up, new tech parks which have opened up, wherein like the likes of Amazon or whatever are shifting. So it's going to become a very vibrant area, which is it. So location, you're absolutely bang on in terms of real estate. Location is always the key. This is a fantastic location because you're connected to everything and anything. So, I mean, someone who's staying here, I mean, to get to the airport, to get to schools, to figure out, which are, for hospitals, for any emergencies, and then go out to a mall. I think more or less everything is very closely located.
Okay.
Yeah, from this location.
And how are we positioning our position timelines?
See, we have a timeline of around 4 years to deliver this project. So, here and there, we are aiming to deliver much before the possession time itself. That's why if you look at it, today, the first milestone of the construction. We're done with the entire excavation of the project. We're starting with the foundation now. So, we are ahead from whatever schedule which we have planned, and we want to keep it. The other part is also because it's a my own construction. Your structure is going to come up pretty fast. So, all the 3 towers, whatever we have, we've planned in such a way when one of the towers is coming up, we will also start with finishing of the project. So we plan to deliver this project ahead of schedule.
Wonderful, sir. And when we talk about construction and quality, I definitely want you to put some light on that.
See, in terms of construction, first thing, what you need to identify is who are the partners you're working with, right? See, this project to come to basically, from blueprint to come to reality, it's I think there are different teams behind this project, the architects who we work with. Right? We work with the Urban Frame, which was earlier called Space Matrix, which is a Singapore-based company. And we've been working with them for the last 4 or 5 projects.
Okay.
Right? And they have fantastic designs. And then they basically tune to our founders' requirements. And then they give a lot of inputs in terms of designing, and then space planning is done very well from them, right? Apart from this, of course, to beautify the project, you need the right landscape. So if you look at the projects what we have delivered, like Tiara, like New Towns, right? And our project wherein in Bellandur, where we have a mixed-use development. We have created fantastic spaces, and then we work with the company called Eco in Space, and they deliver really well in terms of landscaping, and then they put in all the details, like what is a kind of a shrub, what is a kind of a tree. They design all the areas, and then they give us the inputs. Apart from this, it also becomes important wherein whom do you work with, which your MSc consultants, which is basically what happens with your electrical, what happens with your plumbing, are those designs, where are the shafts located and all. So we work with Design Tree, who's also a leading consultant, right? And prior to that, you work with the leading soil consultants, right? So a culmination of all these partners, when we work with the best, you get the best. So we work with all these people, and we've spent more than around 6 months of pre-planning and design in the design stage to make sure this product is there. And even in our company, we have a APQC team, where basically we have the structural consultant, we have basically the project management, and we have the plumbing MHA person in-house who coordinate with various basically consultants and get the product right. And on top of that, because we wanted to go for the IGBC, we also work with the IGBC consultant. So the product, however it is done, the reason the quality comes about is proper plan. That is phase 1, right? Second is basically what happens on site. So what does our engineering team do? Whenever you have one milestone completed, right? We always get an audit from a third party.
Okay.
So for example, we use for structure, right? We use a company called Civilate. Civilate is a very established company who basically evaluate what is the strength of the foundation, right? Is the mix correct? The concrete mix, is it correct? So you get the lab reports, right? You do an internal test, and you also do an external auditing to ensure that quality is done. Because see, you need to understand a building, each floor, each foundation, each basement, and then it has to be properly reviewed for the end product to come. So until the structure, so this is one part. Apart from the structure, what we do is basically see, once you own a house, usually typically people go out and then get this home inspectors. Okay, these companies we should do. We actually do the other way around, wherein we engage that when we delivered Newtown, we had engaged the services of this company who are pretty a leading company in basically I'm like this home inspection or whatever. Before we give the apartment to the customer itself, I'm like, we get this check done, internal check done with them, so that we know what are the snacks and we fix all the snacks and then give it. So the multiple checks and balances what we do, and then how religiously do you do it, and what happens in that planning and execution to make sure everything comes up. And in the finishes also, I'm like, see, we deal with the vendors directly. Like for example, I'm like 4 months back for this project, I'm like to select all the tiles and everything. I'm like, we had been to Mobi in Gujarat, where basically I'm like this thing. We met with the tile manufacturers themselves, understood what are the latest models whatsoever, and then I'm like, we get it. The same thing is with the painting, right? Whatever you do, I'm like, we go direct. Let's say, for example, I'm like, your sanitary fittings, like your Totos or your Jaguars or whatever, I'm like, we deal directly with the manufacturer, who in turn, I'm like, gives us a dealer to deal with. So that is very important in terms of the quality of what we do.
So after hearing all about quality and construction, I think this is what is keeping Vajram different from other regular developments which are happening across Bangalore.
Yeah.
So Chief, when it comes to North Bangalore, right, which has from last 2 to 3 years we are hearing continuously from NRIs, from people from other states, North India, West, South, they're all coming or showing interest towards North Bangalore because of its promising development infrastructure. Because Bangalore, see, this is one thing which everyone knows, we have this traffic issues. It was not planned to have that kind of public in Bangalore, right? And North Bangalore is the only place where government can actually show their premium development, proper infra, residential, commercial, and everything coming together properly. Because east we don't have any,
right.
We cannot even think.
Yeah.
South is already gone and it is extending till Ramnagar. So when it comes to North Bangalore, I really want you to give those powerful insights which is attracting people.
See, what you need to understand is real estate always develops where there's more land available.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, like we have pockets of land available in the south also, right? What you need to understand Bangalore market, all right? Bangalore market is an end user market, right? More than a huge percentage of people buy here to stay in the apartment, not to invest, right? Which is different when you compare it to the north, and also when you compare it to Hyderabad, which is a huge speculative market. People buy to invest, right? And then later rent it out, or invest when the project is at the pre-approval time, and then exit when the project is completed to make the maximum appreciation, right? Now, when people are trying to buy, right, I mean, like, you need to understand what is the area where they want to work. Today, commute has become a challenge.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the infrastructure, what Bangalore is providing, has not kept pace with the developments what are happening, right? For example, our metro. I strongly believe that if we had the entire metro, right, functioning end to end, 5 years back, it would have eased a lot of traffic congestion. Because you need to, I'm like, that is a...
You are right. It's actually got delayed, and that's why we are seeing this now.
That is the issue which is happening.
Yeah.
Now, you look at the development, what is coming in the north, right? You look at Manita Tech Park, right? That is a key driver, which is not this, right? What companies have switched, right, working in Manita, right? Now, if I'm working in Manita, right, where will I basically, I'm like, buy a house? I will buy in and around that area. The whole micro market has grown because of that, right? Now you talk about the airport road, right? The airport has come, what, 20 years back?
Yeah.
Right? So the connectivity to the airport 20 years back, if you look at it, what was there? There was nothing, right? Of course, I mean, like, there was a flyover which had come in, but from Hebal, if you look at it, the development ended at Heba, right? So it had to grow. All your micro markets of, let's say, Hennur, Tanishendra, Kogilu, right? These markets have been a new micro markets which developed because of the social infrastructure which has come, because of the tech parks which have come, and people want to stay close to their work, right? Now, another interesting factor which happened recently after Kogilu was the Bangalore area, right? Bangalore, I'm like, KIDP was there for such a long time, but I mean, like, if you look at the last 5 years, that area has completely changed, right? So, why has that changed? Because of, look at the amount of, I mean, like, offices which are opening, right? I'm like, on the airport road itself, I'm like, you look at the developments which are coming, like Amazon shifting, right? You look at the number of people Amazon employs, right? once people start working in the office, they would like to shift closer, whether it is rental or whether it's buying an apartment, right? And Indians as such, we want to buy, right? That is a lifelong, it's like, okay, get married, have kids, buy a house.
Roti, kapda aur makan.
Which you can never go wrong with that. So,
Right.
your office space and your commute to work defines where the region is going to go. And then this has got all the right factors. And the most important part is basically, where's your airport? Right? At the end of the day, a lot of people, flying. And then that should be easy to go. Let's say, for example, it takes you 2 or 3 hours to commute to the airport. And you're a person who basically travels a lot, right? It really doesn't work out for you because every time you need to travel, you spend 6 hours on the road. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So these are the factors which basically, has fueled the growth of North Bangalore, plus the availability of land. North Bangalore has got so much pockets of land which is still available. Like, for example, a decade back, you go to Devanhalli area, right? What is there?
750 rupees per square feet.
Exactly, you're right? Today you go, it is just one more zero. 7,500 rupees.
It's a minimum
Minimum.
for a regular development.
Exactly.
If you check up about Embassy Spring and Prestige,
Yeah.
10,000 they have already checked.
Exactly. So basically, this is all growing because of the availability of lands. Now you're talking about Foxconn. Once that is open, you look at the infrastructure, what is going to happen?
Next, 50,000 employees.
Absolutely. So they need space to live. So these are the things which are drivers for North Bangalore, and it has got a lot of things working for it, which is there. And then this area, if you look at it, the next decade, it's already been a decade of development in North Bangalore. The next decade also belongs to North Bangalore.
North Bangalore.
North Bangalore, for sure. So if you're looking to stay, of course, your office has to be close by. But if you're looking at investment per se as well, this is the area where we will have huge amounts of
Promising return.
very promising returns, because that is already demonstrated in the last 2 to 3 years in terms of the amount of money which people made in investing in be a piece of land or an apartment or giving it out on rentals. Everything, the yields are really fantastic. Yeah.
There are already talks in the market that in next, like you said, this decade is also for North Bangalore.
Yeah.
So people are expecting prices, touching up to 20,000 per square feet of an apartment, a reputed apartment. Do you see that?
It is going towards that direction, but I think somewhere there will be a correction in terms of this thing. So probably I would say it will take some time to touch there, but it can definitely.
There are possibilities.
There is definitely a possibility of that happening, but at the same time, you also look at what is your career growth as well, matching with that. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Perfect. So, Chief, when we talk about this IGBC certified projects, which in Bangalore we have very limited, right? Most of the developers don't get into it because it is a very big process and the maintenance and lot of science takes place.
Right.
So, how do you guys, will take it forward? IGBC is green element which will actually help community. People who are living should be thankful.
Right.
Because this is an additional step.
See, of course, you need to get the right consultant to give you advice on what IGBC is, right? And then how to implement it and how to get that standards. For us, the goal for this project was to get the highest, which is Platinum, right? Now, for that, what does happen? Of course, as I told you, few things is basically how do you increase the air quality, which is planting more trees. Now today, everyone, if you look at, they're saying, go green, go green. That's why the tagline for this project is green living redefining, right? So we need to implement that first, right? Apart from that, also in the construction, like for example, right, our common areas, right, are powered by solar power. Our long-term sustain.
Wonderful.
Right? Which also, if you look at the operation cost, will also help you to reduce, right? Clean energy, what you can do. Next, we believe that you have to design properties which are future ready. Now, what does it mean future ready? You look at the EV growth in India. Of course, today the market probably is at a tiny percentage, but definitely the number will only grow, right? So we are ensuring that we are future ready, and we give you the EV charging stations at the car parking level itself for all the users, right? So apart from this, it's the quality of the material what you use, like the grade of steel what you use, right, which comes into IGBC. The soil, what do you do with the soil? Basically, do you also take out the soil, the top soil, and then use it back into filling in the different areas? So the multiple criteria out there, wherein you talk with the consultant, and only if your team is interested to implement and take the extra effort and pains to deliver it, which comes at a cost as well, to get that platinum certified. So yes, I would say there are very few projects which have this kind of IGBC platinum specs, and it is on your vision what you want to do as a product. Because even if you don't do it, probably you will achieve the sale, but we wanted to convey the benefit to the user, because at the end of the day, everyone is striving towards that. Okay, there's a lot of talk on social media that green energy, clean product, whatever this thing. We want to do that for the customers. As I told you, Pawan has always been for the customers, and then it's his vision to get products which basically satisfy the customer needs. That is why we're doing this IGBC. Yeah.
Now, why I asked this question is, having a project in center, like Elanka and all that, and bringing this IGBC certification to the project, thinking of end use and the community is, I think it is not everyone's job. Right? It takes a lot of energy, effort, time, money, and everything.
Right.
So this is I think most loaded project in this vicinity.
Right.
So what is that message you have for anyone who is looking for a home for themselves, for their family, for their kids, for their parents, and this project?
See, this project is all about, I would say, as the tagline really says, green living redefined. Okay, your aspiration life, what you want to do, is there in this project, right? Your basic requirement of your designs, whatever it is, we have excelled at that. That is the reason we have success in this project. So we need to understand that whatever we design, until and unless we get the customer acceptance, right, you don't believe that you have done the right thing. So since we've got the customer acceptance already, so we've done the right thing, because it has been a success for us. So what I would like to tell whoever is looking for an investment as such, to stay out here, it's not only about four walls what you look at, where you look at a lot of other things in the project, and the kind of the design what we have put forward, the kind of amenities what we have put forward. Like I talked about, I keep repeating myself about this pond. It's a huge thing.
It's a unique thing.
It is a unique, it's a huge thing, right?
Yeah.
Because I could have built more apartments there, if you look at the commercial value, but we wanted to give that lifestyle to a customer who sits it. So this is what sets us apart from the competition, which is, of course, we're giving you all the specs for what is required inside the apartment, but once you get out of your house, the feeling of belonging to a community, the feeling of expressing yourself, the feeling of, I invite some friends over, what to do, take them to different places, sit by the pond. That is what you really which increases the quality of life, and that is what this project really delivers.
I think this project is for those who really want to feel experience, right? This project, the moment you enter to the end of the project, there are so much you can explore. Just imagine a guest who is coming to your project from any other developments across Bangalore. The moment they enter, they'll have that wow factor. I think experience and that life community is the main agenda of this project. Location, check. Legal, check. All bank approvals, check. RERA, check. Delivery, quality, construction, IGBC certified. 2 acres of clubhouse. The most important thing is they could have got another 100 units, close to 100 to 150 crore kind of a units, which they have eliminated and got this pond, this 2 acres of recreational place for the community. So from my side, it is checked, and one of the best project in Elanka, Kogilu, which is the most happening place. You want schools, it is on walkable distance. You want hospitals, it is short drive. You want metro, which is close. Airport is 30-35 minutes drive. It is a perfect location, a perfect product. If you're more interested, please contact us as soon as possible because the inventory is moving very fast. We'll discuss further and hope to see you in the community. Thank you so much. Thank you, Vamsi.
It was
So much pleasure talking to you.
my pleasure
And
as well.
It is one of the most powerful interviews that I have done. Look forward to having this again once the project is ready to.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.